Lifestories Live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another life story coming to you from Lifestories Worldwide, live on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. We do welcome you all, especially people in Ukraine, and all our new guests who've not been with us before, and to the people from Torch Trust who are listening to the program tonight. If you need help, we have a hotline, +44 794 355 0287. You can also contact us on our website, lifestoriesworldwide.com, where you find lots of interesting information of all the work that's going on with Life Stories. As we said before, we try and bring you stories from all around the world. Tonight, we have a speaker originally from Argentina. The first time we've had an Argentinian speaker, Victor Lorenzo. He moved with his family to London in 2001. Victor is concerned about bringing the kingdom into society, working with lots of businesses, setting setups, and he will tell you more about the work he's doing and share his story. I hand over to you now, Victor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. A privilege to be with all of you, and to all the audience that is worldwide, a big hug, and I hope that the blessings will be upon you all the time. Yes, as Alan said, I moved from Argentina 20 years ago. Have been a kind of a journey, but that is not today part of the story. Is about a little earlier in my life, and to share what have been my journey in my personal relationship with God. I born in what you will call a strong Christian background. My father was a minister in the church. So probably I have been hearing Bible stories and other things since I was in my mother's womb. So my childhood have a lot of happy and good memories. But also as a child, you reach a point of age where you start questioning what is coming from your fathers, where is coming from your background. You start looking in front of your life, what is your future? And you try to find things by yourself. In a certain way, the whole inheritance or Christian inheritance from my parents, when I reach probably 12 years old, I start questioning a lot of things. Not because of my parents, but because you are exposed to two sides in the experience of the church. One is the religion side, the other one is the spiritual side. And I found at that time a lot of contradictions. So I started making a lot of questions. One day I came to my father's office. I throw a Bible into his desk, and I said, "Dad, we are in a terrible problem or in a conundrum. One, if the Bible is not true, we are the most stupid people trying to put it in practice. But if the Bible is true, we are also in trouble because nearly nothing of what is there, we are putting it in practice." So for me, were a lot of dichotomy in terms of how people were behaving, what we were saying that we believe, and what were the practice and what I was seeing in terms of people, character and behaviors in front of me. I was an avid reader since I was a child. So when I was 12 years old, I decided that I wanted to read about what you will call worldwide heroes, people that were peacemakers, that work strongly for justice, for dealing with issues of inequality and things like that. So I started reading all these biographies when I was a child. And I remember that something really struck me when I was reading about Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi made a strong statement about the Christians. He said, if the Christians will really behave and follow the teachings of Jesus, they will become an unstoppable force. And that really struck me because I said about my own life, I am really following that teaching. So I start my own journey in trying to understand these things. So this is part of 3 stories that I'm going to tell you. One started when I was 13 years old. My father sent me to the bank. And I was in the bank queue waiting to be attended. And there was a person in front of me that I don't know why at that moment, all their demeanor, gestures, and things start really irritating me. It irritated me so badly that I felt really uncomfortable. So I came out of the queue and I went to a bar and I started questioning myself, why I'm feeling like that about a person that I don't know. Why this person in this queue really irritate me, produce all these kind of emotions and thinking coming out of me. So what kind of a stimulation I'm receiving? So I started trying to think about this one, and at that moment I have no answers. So I remember being in secondary school, we have a subject that was psychology. So I decided to talk to the teacher to see if they know from where all these things happening was there. So the teacher guided me to read some studies about the development of personality and character. So I started reading all these books, and what they put there is that our personality and character, the foundation of it, is developed between our conception and our 7 years old. And then we build up what is the rest of our character, life, and personality upon that foundation that we receive from our parents, from our grandparents, from our family, from our society, from the environment where we are. So that our life for moving forward will be in a certain way a reflection of that foundational issues that were in our life. So I start thinking, okay, what are my foundations, from where this is coming? And this package of foundation is called memory. So I start trying to make my journey, trying to understand what was in my memory. So one of the things is that I was reacting to the environment where I was. Sometimes you have people talking to you. Since the moment that you wake up, you start reacting to your environment. You wake up, you smell, you feel your hunger, you feel the need to go to the toilet. So in the moment that you wake up, you start perceiving your environment and you start making decisions. And that decisions will, in a certain way, make direction to how your life is going to be followed. So what I found is that in terms of the teachings of Jesus was asking me to live life in a different way. And one of the things that I normally didn't understand, that for me was like, you need to be on drugs to believe that one. When some of the teachings said, love those who hate you, do good to those who do evil to you, and bless those who curse you. So I said, why? What is fair? What is the justice in me having to love someone that hates me, or to do good to someone that is doing evil, or to even bless someone that is cursing me? So what I found there is that the most important thing is not the stimulation that I was receiving, what was coming out from me. So that in terms of the future of my life, or what I represent to the people surrounding me, the most important thing was not the hate that I was receiving, but the hate that I was giving. So I started questioning what is in me in terms of what is stimulated in me when I'm not able to love someone that hates me. So I started trying to question the way that I was living at that period of time. So because I wanted to make some money and to pay for my studies, I started looking for work. And a friend of mine found me work in a family business that was doing jewelry, what you call semi-precious stones. And was a family business called, the family was called the Caraglio family from Italian background. So they offered me to become an apprentice. So I started going to the factory, they employ me. So I started my process of training, and they put a guy that was there in the factory that was the oldest employee to start training me. But the guy was one of the most annoying, evil person that you can find. At least that was for me. So the guy started treating me really, really bad. So after 2 weeks, I said, look, I have enough of this one. I cannot cope with these guys any longer. So I was between quitting or trying to change the situation. So I said, how I will change the situation? So I decided to be going contrary to the kind of stimulation that he was giving me. So I said, I need to love this guy. So I will not tell him that I love him, but how I'm going to show love to this guy, how I'm going to show goodness to the evil that he is giving me. So I start planning. The night before going to work, I start planning what I'm going to do. So I decided to arrive half an hour before and clean his desk, prepare his tools, and receive him with a cup of tea. You know, you can imagine the first time that the guy arrived and everything was prepared in his desk. He had a tea in his hand, prepared as he liked it. You know, so I don't want it to look like a lame duck, but nearly I was in that kind of position at that moment. But, you know, the guy, instead of changing, he started provoking me even more. You know, the kind of expression of a counter current to his current of a stimulation was kind of a shock for him. And he started really feeling uncomfortable with that. But I decided to continue. It doesn't matter what he was doing. So the most aggressive and cursing he became to me and nasty to me, the more I put the volume up in goodness and nice things. So Mr. Caraglio had like an office at the top where he was looking all that was going on in factory and that one. And I didn't realize that he was observing all the things. But about a month after I started working there, he called me to his office and said, Victor, I want you to give you the opportunity to learn how the factory operates. So he put me under his arm and he started taking me through all the processes of the factory. From the moment that you melt the metal, you put it in the molds, you prepare all the different pieces to go to the desk where they put all the stones and things like that. So I learned all the process of the factory. So for 2 months, he put me under his arms. And after that, when he called me one day to his office, there was one of his sons, and he said, look, guys, as normally this year, I'm going again to Italy for 3 months to find new models and new ideas into that one. So I was thinking, who are the people that I'm going to entrust to run the factory when I'm going to be in Italy? I said, normally it's you, my son, that I put you there, but this time I want you to work with Victor. Victor will be in charge of the peace and the work in the factory because he proved himself that he's a good person. So he called the other employee that was nasty to me and informed him about the situation. And what I found, that being good sometimes not produce change in the people that are nasty to you, but is observed by those who are surrounding you, that can test your character and your behaviors moving forward. And I realized that, instead of allowing all the evilness that was surrounding me to contaminate me, I have the opportunity to bring something different in that environment to produce change and transformation. So the other side of the story is that, when we talk about Christianity or Jesus or God, we talk about faith. So the other question is, how is to live by faith? What is faith? So I will make a quick introduction to that one. Faith is a projection to a future that will be different to your actual situation. So project you to a future, to an idea of a future that can change, can transform your actual situation or whatever is in the past. So for me, the opposite of faith is memory.
Life Stories Live. Life Stories.
Is allowing me to come out from that patterns of memory. Whatever experience I have before, whatever is in the foundation of my identity, I can change this if I have a different kind of view of the future. So normally when we make decisions and when we are in crisis and we have to make decisions, we make decisions according to our experience. And the problem is that when we're doing according to our experience and our memory, the majority of the time we are condemning our future to be a repetition of the past. And I didn't want it that one to my life. I wanted to change things. I remember studying university, we make a study about the power of memory, how it ruled people's life. And we asked people over 65 years old to their time of death, 3 questions. One, what are the things that you promise yourself that happened to your parents that you promise yourself that will never happen to you? What are the 3 things that your parents did that you promise yourself that you will never do that? And tell us what is the extension of your success in doing that one. So we make all this pool about, we ask the question to over 3,000 people. And what do we discover? That, people can change certain aspects of their life. But in these foundational things, we found that more than 95% of the people found them that they completely fail to be able to break these patterns. So I said, I don't want to live by that, like that one. I don't want to find, I'm closer to 65, well, I'm 60, but I don't want to find myself at 65 looking backward and saying, I didn't change. I want transformation. I want to bring something different. So when I got married, I knew, because my wife told me before when we were dating, that the doctors told her that she was barren, that she will never be able to have children. She had some problems in her organs and things like that. And so that was the conclusions of the doctors at that time. So in my country at that time, I don't know yet if it is yet the thing, if your wife don't disclose or lie you about a condition like that one, you can ask to nullify your marriage. So I decided when we were to get married, because in Argentina you do it in front of a judge of peace, to tell the judge of peace to put in our act of marriage that I know, our certificate, that I knew Sylvia's conditions of being declared barren by the doctors. So when we signed our marriage certificate, in our marriage certificate said that Sylvia was declared barren by the doctors. So my wife at that time was working with a doctor in Argentina, Dr. Oturi, and he was at that time the authority in terms of infertility in the country. He was a professor in the University of Buenos Aires. And when we got married, he knew about Sylvia's condition, so he offered us help. He said, look, I can help you. I can put you to some of my disciples. We can go through all today is available in medicine and to try to help you to conceive. So we said, okay. So we start visiting the different doctors. We went through the different kind of offers that I was time in medicine. And then we find ourselves 3 years later that he called us to his office. And he said, Victor, Sylvia, I have to tell you that medicine have reached its limit. We try everything that we know today, every method that is there, and we cannot help you. I don't tell you that there will be no developments in the future, but at this moment, how the things are, we don't have any answers to your condition. He said, look, I know that you believe in God. I also believe in God. For me, even as a doctor, the last word is God's word. So we'll see what happens. So I will be praying for you. I hope that you will have, God will put his finger and you will have a miracle. So we returned home, and returning back home in the car was kind of an emotional moment with my wife. She dreamed and she wanted to be a mother. So she asked me if I will be open to adopting. So I was thinking, yes, I'm open to adoption. But I need to have that conviction that that is the journey ahead of us. I know the Bible, and the Bible said that having children is a blessing. So why am I going to accept just this condition? So God, you have to give us light into this one about what we are going to decide. So about 2 weeks later, my father called us to his office. You know, these kind of strange meetings with my father sometimes. So came to his office and said, well, Victor and Sylvia, I'm concerned about you. I don't want you to be depressed or to be suffering with the information that you received from the doctors. And I was praying for you. And I think that I have a kind of a dream or a kind of revelation, if you want to put it there. But I put it all there in my calendar. I think that God told me that you are going to be parents June of next year. And that is going to be a boy. And he said, and for me to test you, I put it already in my calendar. And he put in his calendar a bracket of in the middle of June of next year, grandfather, he put there. So, okay. So we look at him, we return back home, and we were having a coffee in the kitchen. And I told to my wife, Sylvia, look, Sylvia, are we going to believe this one? It's a little kind of crazy. You know, it's June next year. It's 17 months from where we are today. So it's a little kind of crazy, this one. But if we are going to believe this one, faith is not just believing or a thought, it's actions. So what we are going to do? So we talked together and we decided, you know, so we write in a paper declaring Sylvia pregnant 17 months before, and we decided the name of our child, Gonzalo Eduardo. So we have these things there. That was our kind of agreement and secret between me and Sylvia, that we declare ourselves pregnant in terms of a projection of faith towards the future. Talking then with her parents, we discovered something that was a memory in the family, something that happened for generations. So for 3 generations.
Lifestories Live.